welcoming Faisal.
Hello, testing. It's working? Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was going to start today's talk with a very cheesy joke about Harvard, but I decided not to do so. So I watched a movie earlier today called Arrival or The Arrival, and it had a very interesting question at the end of the movie that really integrates well with my presentation, so I'm lucky for that. The question said, if you had the ability to see your life from start to finish, would you change anything? Even if it was a good life, would you change anything? So to me, the answer is yes, 100% yes, 1,000 times yes. But if I want to narrow down the things that I would change into 3 segments, the segments would be less talking, more doing, less worrying about the future and dwelling over the past, and more living the moment, and less complaining and more giving. So I think these 3 points correlate really well with my presentation. So my line of thought went as follows. I hope you are as creative as I expect you to be. So if I ask myself this, if I were a tree, what tree would I be? So I have 4 options. We're in the Arab world, so we would choose to have a palm tree. As a palm tree, what do I need to live an amazing life? What factors of life do I need around me to have a good life? Do I need good weather? Do I need the sun? Do I need music? Maybe Kulthum singing around me? Do I need other trees as friends? Do I need kids around me to be playing around? So I want all these things as a palm tree to live a very interesting and happy life. But as a palm tree, what am I giving back? I'm sure you saw this coming. It wasn't very smooth. So as a palm tree, I'm giving shade and nice scenery. These are things I'm giving without any effort. Just by being a palm tree, I'm giving back to the community. But I'm also giving food and fresh air with a little bit of effort as a palm tree. Again, with very smooth transitions, let's take this to the human level. What do I want to have an amazing life? What do you want to have an amazing life? We don't have time for questions, but I would guess everyone wants more money, more cars, maybe unlimited airline tickets to anywhere you want to go. You would want to have concert tickets to go to Muhammad Abdu or Selena Gomez or whatever you're into. So we want a lot of good things to live amazing lives. But what about the less fortunate people that we're talking about in the talks before me? What about the refugees? What about the poor people around the world? What about less fortunate countries? What do they want or need to live good lives? So 2 years ago, I came back to Saudi from Boston, actually, and I decided to give back to the community. I decided to make a difference in the world. Even if it was a small change around my community, I wanted to do something. So I looked at my network of people. I looked at my financial situation. I looked at my background of study, and I said, all I have is a mobile phone and a marketing background. That's it. So I started 3 social awareness campaigns. First of all, I started Outlanders KSA, which is an account on Instagram that told stories of low-wage foreign labor workers in Saudi who were, in many cases, mistreated by Saudis. So I was targeting Saudis to hopefully feel like this person, is a human who is definitely less fortunate, who is living in a different country, and we need to be better with them. We need to treat them as people. We need to remember that they are humans. So I just told their stories on Instagram. That's it. Okay, thank you. I wasn't expecting this. A couple of months later, I found success with this campaign. I was excited and said, you know what? I want to do something else. Let us fight negative energy. And I was in a very yoga mood, I think. So instead of fighting negative energy, why don't we increase positive energy by bringing happiness? And this was inspired by my mother. So we gave out random gifts. We sent out random messages. We sent out postcards. We just tried to increase the positive energy that we have in our communities, which will automatically decrease the negative energy. Instead of wasting our time fighting the negative, let's increase the positive. The 3rd campaign I started was also on social media. It was called Back to Arabic. For Khalijis out here or Saudis out here, that was a trend for the past couple of years to speak English for some reason, even if you did not speak English very well. So it was cool to speak English. So you would find college students in Saudi who could not even write a letter in Arabic, who wouldn't be able to give a talk or speech in Arabic, which is ridiculous, to be honest. And I was one of those people. So I started a campaign called Back to Arabic, نرجع للعربي, and we tried to make Arabic cool again. A year passed with 3 social media campaigns, 3 of them to some extent a success. And then I thought, I'm not inspired enough to inspire people. So I need to have a campaign for Faisal, for me. So even though the campaign is called Launch, I did not launch this campaign. It was for me. That's funny, right? So I started putting myself in situations where I would feel uncomfortable, in situations where I'm outside my comfort zone, where I try something new, where I learn something new. I would put myself in positions where I have no idea what is the objective of me being in that place at that time. And the minute I decided to do that, the world or God somehow puts me in these situations. And these situations just knocked my door. So the Down Syndrome School in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia called me up and said, listen, you have a couple of followers online. Why don't you come and market for our school? Of course, why not? But what is Down syndrome? I know to some extent what it is, but I had no idea the efforts that these schools or specialized schools that we have in Saudi are doing. So I went there, I marketed them, their services and what they do. The Autism Center in Jeddah called me and said, what you did with the Down Syndrome School, we want you to do with us as well. So I found myself going into the medical field, which I'm not very, I don't know anything about it, so I said, I want to try something new. So let me not stick to medical issues, let me try something new. So we travel a lot. I went to India on a business trip, and I said, I'm not going to go to this amazing country with lots of culture and not come back with amazing stories. So I took my camera on one side and my sneakers, and I took my suit on the other side. The minute I finished my meetings, I would go out, and I would do exactly what my tour guide told me not to do. Don't go to the slums, don't speak to people on the street, don't eat food from the street, don't ask many questions, and don't take pictures of people you do not know. I did exactly that. Because otherwise, I would not come back with inspirational stories. I would not meet this amazing person who is an entrepreneur. So this guy, you don't have to be Steve Jobs to create Apple. You can be this guy who took 3 wooden pallets, put them around him in a corner in the street, and got tools from God knows where, and started working. This guy makes $100 a month from this. So he used to make nothing, now he makes $100 a month from doing this. So this guy is an entrepreneur. This guy is actually doing something with his life, so don't tell me there are no jobs in my country. There are no opportunities. I don't have money to start my project. This guy did something out of nothing. Jordan came up next. Again, all these opportunities are literally knocking on my door. Because I really want to do these things, they are literally coming to me somehow. Someone calls me up from Jordan and says, Faisal, I want you to come and see the Palestinian refugees. This is a topic that people in the GCC are forgetting about after the Syrian topic came up. So I said, you know what? I've never spoke about this topic. I've never met a Palestinian refugee. Of course, I'm curious to see. So I went to Jordan twice in 1 year. I was part of 2 campaigns that we did to support, to some extent, as many families as we could in Jordan. Turkey was a couple of months ago. We went to the south of Turkey to a city called Orfa, and we met the Syrian refugees who were literally living in the streets for 8 or 9 or even 10 months with their kids. So a child like this would be literally living in the street since they were born. Let's say she's a 1-year-old. She's been living in the street in the south of Turkey for the past 9 months. So we went there with a charity organization that was taking these families from the streets to furnished apartments. So imagine the feeling of you giving the key to a mother who has 4 kids living in the street for the past 9 months and saying, Khalti, this is your key and this is your house. And that lady would come up to me and say, are you sure this is my apartment? Are you sure this is my house? Are you sure they're not going to knock my door or break it down and take me out with my kids? Very deep stuff that you go through, and these experiences that you put yourself in, you come back with inspirational stories for yourself and opportunities like these to talk about these opportunities. Djibouti was the best trip in my life, literally. I went to the charity organization from Bahrain, and I'll just say one story because we don't have lots of time. we went to a village called Obukh. And I did not have an objective in these trips. They just tell me to run around and Snapchat whatever we're doing. And each member of the team has a certain objective. So I would go walk around, play around with the kids, learn the language, flirt with little girls. I'll do whatever I do just to have fun and change the mood. You like the flirting part, huh? Little girls. So I started playing with these kids. I'm just trying to be as creative as I can, either racing around, either carrying them on my shoulders. So I carry a group of kids come up to me and say, carry us, let's play, let's do this, let's do that. So I started carrying these kids, and then at some point I realized that the kid on the right, Abu Bakr, was standing 10 meters away noticing me. He was not looking at me, so I felt him noticing where I am, noticing where the noise is, but he was not looking at me. So I wait for the approval of the kid before carrying the kid. But when this kid is not looking at me, I felt nervous for a second. I was curious, why is he not staring at me? Why is he noticing me? Why isn't he getting closer to me? But he is definitely curious about what's happening. A couple of seconds later, I noticed Abu Bakr reached to me and he hit me with his elbow. At that stage, I realized that Abu Bakr has one arm. Abu Bakr has burns all over his body. I can literally see his heart pumping from his forehead. I swear to God, that was real. Yeah. It's very a frightening experience. So at that stage, I'm thinking, should I carry Abu Bakr? Maybe he has wounds in his body. Maybe I would hurt him by carrying him. I did not get any approval. The only approval I got was a shoulder or an elbow hit. So I carried Abu Bakr, and for the next 10 seconds, this guy was screaming from happiness, and I gave him a Disney World experience for 10 seconds. I did not appreciate that moment until I went to the bus, and one of the girls was saying, guys, do you see what happened with Faisal? And she was the only mother with us in the group. So she said, when I look at it as the lady, when she looks at what happens, she looks at it from a different perspective, from mother's perspective. So she said, Faisal, you don't even appreciate what you did because you don't have kids. This kid is already poor, is already living in Djibouti, is already hungry, is already going through so many things, but he is also wounded. He also has one arm. He feels different. He feels neglected. He doesn't feel like he's part of the group. So when you carried him and you treated him like you treated everyone else, you gave him that chance or that feeling of belonging. So whatever you did, you gave that kid a reason to be happy for a couple of minutes. And if you notice, Faisal, he was sitting next to you or standing next to you the whole time until you reached the bus. I was too busy to notice that, of course. I went back to Saudi, and I was talking to one of the organizers of the trip, and I said, I met this kid, his name is Abu Bakr, he was an amazing kid, a very inspirational moment that we had. And I said, but I'm still curious why I did not even look at this kid's eyes. He couldn't even look at me. Was he broken? Was he feeling insecure? He said, no, Abu Bakr is blind. So I said, all this that he goes through, Kaman, he's blind, what worse scenario can this kid have? And then I look at what we're doing and how we're living and how we spend our money and how we don't appreciate what we have. It's crazy stuff. When I come out of all these experiences in the past couple of years, I said I have to bundle them up in a couple of points that will help me and others change to the better. I realized that my priorities, my network, my skills, capabilities, my interests and role models, everything changed during the past couple of years. So to become a better person, when you realize that these things are changing, you realize you're on the right track. So let's go back to the cheesy metaphor of the tree. If you were a tree, which tree would you be? Would you be this inspirational tree full of hope, full of character, full of stories? And this tree was the picture was taken in the same village where I met Abu Bakr, Obukh. Would you want to be this tree who's different, who has stories to tell? Or you want to be, change slides please, or you want to be a tree that looks like any other tree? You want to be the same person as the person next to you, or you want to be someone with a story, someone with character, someone with something to tell, someone who made a difference, someone who you remember your name? Anything else you can find on my social media. Thank you so much.